Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya Rivero. My colleague Rena Ninan will join us in just a moment. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says Iran is responsible for the attacks on 2 oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman. At a State Department briefing earlier this afternoon, Secretary Pompeo said based on the weapons and technique used in the attack, there's no doubt it was carried out by Tehran.
It is the assessment of the United States government that the Islamic Republic of Iran is responsible for the attacks that occurred in the Gulf of Oman today. This assessment is based on intelligence, the weapons used, the level of expertise needed to execute the operation, recent similar Iranian attacks on shipping, and the fact that no proxy group operating in the area has the resources and proficiency to act with such a high degree of sophistication.
The 2 tankers were damaged earlier today in the Gulf of Oman. That is just off the coast of Iran. Pictures released by Iranian state media show one of the tankers on fire. There were no serious injuries. CBS News has learned one of the crews evacuated when it found an unexploded mine on the hull of its ship. Today's incidents come after 4 ships were damaged in the Persian Gulf last month. The U.S. blamed Iran for those attacks, but Iran denied any involvement. The incident also comes as Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is visiting Tehran. He met with Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini and President Hassan Rouhani. Abe is hoping to help ease the continued tensions between the United States and Iran. But President Trump doesn't seem to be too optimistic. He tweeted this a short time ago. While I very much appreciate PM Abe going to Iran to meet with Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, I personally feel that it is too soon to even think about making a deal. They are not ready, and neither are we. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin is at the Pentagon and joins me now. Hi, David. You reported that an unexploded mine was discovered attached to the hull of one of the ships. Was that one of the signs that led the U.S. to determine Iran was to blame?
It is. I think it's the principal reason that the U.S. is being so unequivocal in blaming Iran for this attack. I don't know that the device has yet been recovered, but it has been photographed and videotaped, and obviously U.S. intelligence experts have looked at those pictures and determined that this is a mine that could only have come and could only have been attached to a ship by Iran. So it's not a smoking gun, but it's a very, very persuasive piece of intelligence, which I think the U.S. will at some point release.
So, David, what would the U.S. have to weigh, or what is the U.S. now weighing before deciding to take any sort of action against Iran over these tanker attacks?
Well, you have a couple problems. You don't want to start a war in the Persian Gulf because that jeopardizes the waters through which 1/3 of the oil that moves around the world by sea originates. And if a war were to start there, that would increase the price of oil worldwide and be particularly damaging to some of America's closest allies, particularly Japan, because Japan depends on Middle East oil for 80% of its oil imports. So that's the danger in taking military action. The danger in not taking military action would be that Iran would continue to lay mines, if that's in fact what happened here, and will continue to come up with ways to attack either American forces directly or American interests and allies of the United States. And they will continue to do that unless they are, in the proverbial term, taught a lesson. Back in 1987, the U.S. military caught Iran red-handed laying mines, and they stormed that ship. Navy SEALs stormed that ship, seized the crew, seized the mines, and scuttled the ship. So there is a precedent for taking military action in retaliation for mining. But you can also make the case that if you don't want to run the risk of having hostilities in such a valuable part of the world, that you would simply go to increased mine-sweeping measures through the strait that connects the Persian Gulf to the rest of the world.
So it's a complicated situation, a lot of factors that the U.S. has to weigh here. David, what assets does the Pentagon currently have in place in the region?
Well, there are more than enough assets. If you remember, back at the beginning of May, the U.S. picked up intelligence that Iran was planning some imminent attacks against U.S. forces and U.S. interests in the area, and it dispatched a carrier battle group and 4 B-52 bombers, along with some extra air defense missiles, to the region. Those are all in place now. In fact, the carrier Lincoln had been making a port call in Oman, but it got underway today, so it is back out at sea and ready for use if that's what the Pentagon and ultimately the President decide.
We will see. Who knows which way they are leaning at this point. All right. Well, David Martin, we thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
Sure thing.